The Justice Department has reached settlements with a group of current and former FBI agents who have said they were disciplined for invoking personal and political views, including about the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot and the COVID-19 vaccine, and for clashing with supervisors about approaches to investigations, their lawyers said Tuesday. Empower Oversight, a group founded and led by former staff members of Republican Senator Chuck Grassley, announced the resolutions of 10 cases, including 8 settlements in the last few weeks. Many of the cases concern agents who had accused the FBI of politicization during President Joe Biden's administration, a claim leadership denied. Some had resisted the mandate to take the COVID-19 vaccine and complained about what they saw as overreach during the Bureau's sprawling investigation into January 6th. One attended President Donald Trump's speech on the ellipse that day and later showed up at the Capitol, but was not involved in any violence, his lawyers said. 3 of the agents are returning to duty at the FBI. Others are being permitted to voluntarily retire, and some are receiving restoration of back pay and benefits, the organization said in a statement announcing the details. Just imagine for half a second that, the shoe was on the other foot, and that, one of these, some of these agents are found to be, making some pro-Antifa claims or statements, or is at some hardcore left-wing riot or something, and that involved some violence, but they personally didn't do the violence, right? The idea that they would, do this sort of thing for them is just ludicrous, right? This is just pure nihilism, right? It's just a pure rejection of reality, right? It's a rejection of the importance and the effectiveness of the COVID-19 vaccine and the reason why we had mandates for FBI agents and things like that, right? It's a complete rejection of the science of that. It's also a rejection of the reality and all of the evidence we have of January 6th, right? They're implying that these people thought that January 6th was basically a good thing and that us investigating it was was problematic, right? That's just completely disconnected from reality, right? Obviously, the idea that these are FBI agents and they're literally getting paid back money, but they quit of their own volition, right? They refused to follow government orders to get the COVID vaccine, and they quit as a result, or were fired, and they're getting paid. Basically, they're getting a bounty as a result of this, right? They're going to get hundreds of thousands of dollars in back pay, all in one lump sum, right? And it's not like they didn't work in that time, right? If they got fired, they were doing something else, right? So they're basically getting a reward essentially for making this illogical, unscientific, insanely stupid stand to not take the COVID-19 vaccine and get fired as a result. The resolutions come even as the FBI under Patel has moved to reassign and outright dismiss experienced senior executives for unclear reasons. The Bureau this month fired, among others, a former acting director who had resisted a Trump administration demand to produce the names of agents who participated in January 6 investigations. The head of its Washington field office, who had played an important role in those probes, was also forced out. Yeah, Trump has been trying to go after those who were on the January 6th committee or whatever, right? That's why Biden pardoned all of the people who participated in the January 6th committee before he left office, because Trump was literally saying he's going to use this as a symbolic political cudgel, and he's going to try and go after these people and politically go after these people and actually prosecute them and cause physical, real harm to them in some sort of way. And everything the Trump administration has done since they've taken power in 2024 has completely vindicated all of those concerns, right? He has made it clear that he wants to put those FBI agents and those Congress people in jail for legitimately investigating his this whole conspiracy that he created and tricked millions and millions of his supporters that the election was stolen and caused Ashley Babbitt to die and a whole riot to happen on the Capitol and all that stuff. The FBI Agents Association has warned that those terminations were done without due process. The settlements announced Tuesday include agents who were held up by Republican lawmakers looking to establish that the FBI during the Biden administration had become intolerant of the expression of conservative viewpoints, something Patel's predecessor, Chris Wray, vigorously denied. I don't know how, it doesn't matter. This is a very strange line of argument, right? Because the whole idea that COVID-19 vaccines were not effective and were a hoax and were some bad, cynical conspiracy to get Bill Gates microchips in you or something, right, is not based in any any kind of scientific reality, all right? But despite that, if they were able to claim like it's some conservative viewpoint and that they're being and that they were being discriminated against as a result of those viewpoints, despite those viewpoints being completely disconnected from scientific reality, if they are able to use this legal reasoning, that'd be so weird. Several testified before a special House committee in 2023, investigating what Republicans called the weaponization of the federal government against conservatives. Democrats dismissed the testimony, calling the hearing another attempt by Republicans on the committee to help Trump. Those being reinstated include Steve Friend, who has said he was suspended and later resigned after refusing to participate in a SWAT team arrest of a January 6th suspect, and also objected to a COVID-19 mandate, or a COVID vaccine mandate. Yeah, he's also literally refusing to participate in a SWAT team arrest of a January 6th suspect. He's literally refusing direct orders from his boss, governmental orders. He's a representative of the government, and he's refusing to do it, okay? But they're rewarding him for it. Unlike the other person, they said literally earlier in this exact same article, they literally said earlier in this exact same article, the Bureau this month fired, among others, a former acting director who had resisted a Trump administration demand to produce the names of agents who participated in January 6th investigations. This is an example of an FBI agent who's literally refusing a direct order from his boss, right? He's a representative of the government. He's an FBI agent, and he's refusing the direction that he's given as a representative of the United States. And they are saying that that is the reason by which that this person was ultimately fired for. But then you're reinstating this Steve Friend guy who said he refused to participate in a SWAT team arrest of a January 6th suspect and refused to take the COVID-19 vaccine, right? Put aside the COVID-19 vaccine thing for a second, right? He was directed to act as part of a SWAT team to go arrest one of these January 6th suspects, right? A direct order from his boss. As a representative of the United States government, an FBI agent refused the order, but he was reinstated and likely potentially rewarded through the issuance of back pay and whatnot, right? This shows that they're not interested in the principle at all about any of this, right? They can't even try to pretend that this is anywhere near about principle, right? It is purely about like who is supportive of us, right? It's a team sport for them. Who's going to be sycophantic martyr towards us? You scratch our back, we'll scratch yours, right? Their principles be damned. Ideals be damned. Another is Garrett O'Boyle, who complained to Congress about the FBI's handling of January 6 investigations. His lawyers said he was suspended after being suspected of improperly leaking case information about conservative activist group Project Veritas to the organization, which he denied. Also reinstated was Zachary Schaufstall, whose lawyers say he was disciplined after he complained about the exclusion of what he believed was exculpatory information in an FBI affidavit during an investigation into a white nationalist hate group. Why would they? I just don't understand why they would present the fact that this guy who got fired resisted the Trump administration's direct orders as the reason. Refusing orders is the reason why he was fired. But then you're going to give examples of others refusing orders, but you're going to pardon them. Like, why even present that as the principled reason for that firing if you're going to completely undermine your own point literally 1 second later with the people that you're reinstating, right? It's just so deeply unserious. These people are so deeply unserious, and they're so deeply uninterested in consistency. One of the 10 settlements was reached last year when the Biden administration agreed to restore the security clearance of Marcus Allen, another FBI employee who had accused the Bureau of politicizing its work. He formally resigned. So yeah, it's just hilarious that they're gonna bring up refusing direct orders as a reason why they're firing FBI agents that they politically don't like right now, right? They're doing this right now in the administration. They're cynically using their powers in the way that they shouldn't be. But then they're going to also give, literally in the very next breath, give examples of FBI agents they're reinstating and giving back pay to and whatnot, and the reason why that they were fired that they gave was a refusal to do direct orders, right? The exact same reason they just gave for the guy that they fired. Like, it's it's just so deeply unserious. The people aren't even trying to appear consistent, right? It's just, I think the idea of hypocrisy, of like people getting their comeuppance, of the chickens coming home to roost, of people realizing the hypocrisy and the lies that these people say. I think the era of that is just over, right? In the era of deep media saturation, right? In the era of there being a gajillion different media news sources and a different, and people, everybody sort of just finds themselves in their own little siloed, media bubble or whatever. I just think the days of people getting their comeuppance, of people recognizing hypocrisy and getting mad about lies people have told as a politician are just basically over. And as a result, politicians, especially those on the right, don't have to pretend to be consistent or principled or really anything about all of that anymore, right? Because they don't have to worry about something I said last week, contradicting it, or doing something now that might contradict it, and that might present hypocrisy to some third party viewer that sees all of this, right? I guess the point is that nobody is seeing all of this, or very few people are seeing all of this, and everything is designed in such a way to show you a very narrow, specific slice of what is happening to get you to curry you into a very specific viewpoint, right? And I just worry that none of this actually matters, right? It doesn't matter that, I keep saying how are Republicans going to run on any principles whatsoever, right? Every single one of the principles, fiscal conservatism, all these principles that they pretended to stand for a long time have been literally completely thrown out the window with this Trump administration, right? Republicans I don't think they really could have legitimately pretended before, but especially after this second Trump term, there's no way that Republicans can possibly ever use the phrase fiscal conservatism or pretend to be that with any level of seriousness whatsoever, okay? Because I understand, I've been following all this, and I understand how they pretend to hold these principles, but in reality, in the way they govern and the policies that they push forward, completely undermine this whole idea of fiscal conservatism. I understand that, but I don't think most people understand that, and I have a feeling next time the whole election cycle starts up again, right? The Republicans get to come out and pretend that they're fiscal conservatives again, when in reality, right, they've completely undermined that argument, and the idea that they are is silly and holds no water anymore whatsoever. But it doesn't matter, because most people haven't seen enough of the information, doesn't have this full context to understand that they have lied about all of this, right? They just have this narrative that the Republicans are fiscally conservative, and blah, blah, blah. That's just the narrative they have, unquestioning.